is that there are these black performers. You mentioned that there were entertainers at the inauguration. There are these black performers that were performing for Snoop Dogg, Nelly, a couple of others.
You know, I got my mind and my money and my money on my mind. Snoop, love you, brother. Ain't nothing but a G thing, lottie-dottie, I love you. That guy is bought and paid for.
Listen.
Calling out black people, but then performing at Donald Trump's inauguration.
Sonny is once again calling out Snoop and Nelly for their inauguration performance, questioning why they even took the stage. But seriously, who gets to decide that? Is this really just about politics, or is there something much bigger happening behind the scenes? Let's break it all down.
And I saw Keith Boykin, a friend of mine, say something that I thought was really important, and I wanted to play that clip.
If you look at Donald Trump, the man who would refuse to rent to black people in the 1970s, who tried to lead a lynch mob against 5 black and brown kids in the 1980s for the Central Park case, who refused to allow black casino workers to have a prominent place in his casinos in Atlantic City.
She played a bold clip of Keith Boykin, a former aide to Bill Clinton, who didn't hold back in sharing his fiery opinion on the matter. Wild, right? Keith Boykin's appearance was definitely a moment. He went all in, wasting no time as he called out Trump's past actions and tied them directly to why he believed Snoop and Nelly's performance was a bad move. Honestly, it feels like Sonny brought him on The View just to stir the pot even more. What do you think?
Black casino workers to have a prominent place in his casinos in Atlantic City in the 1990s, who spent 5.5 years lying about Barack Obama's birth certificate in the 2000s, who came into office and then attacked black people like Colin Kaepernick, who attacked Ruby Freeman.
Boykin just couldn't hold back, saying that Snoop and Nelly performing with Trump was a total slap in the face to the black community. He clapped back with a whole list of Trump's shady actions that, in his opinion, have been harming black people for years.
And her daughter, Shay Moss, for simply doing their jobs as Fulton County election workers. You dishonor those people when you go and perform for this man who has done nothing but dishonor black people.
Boykin didn't sugarcoat a thing. Black artists performing for Trump? Pure betrayal. He hit hard on legacy and responsibility, questioning how they could support Trump and still claim to stand for Martin Luther King's values. And let me tell you, Sonny and the audience were eating it up, applauding like he just dropped the most groundbreaking truth ever. But was it really? And guess what?
Even though I didn't watch any of the balls or anything, I think what Keith said is so important for us to remember, that this is who Donald Trump is.
Sonny didn't just sit back and agree with Boykin, she took it even further. She called out the hypocrisy of Trump's inauguration lining up with Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a day that stands for racial and economic justice. To her, the connection was completely unacceptable. I mean, come on, Sonny, haven't we been here before? Instead of watching the inauguration, she said she chose to protect her peace instead. Can you believe that? And just when you thought she was done, she had something to say about Joe Biden too. Check this out.
We know that this administration is a vengeful one. We know this is a vengeful man. And if I can protect me and mine, I would do that. And so I think we need to show Joe Biden some grace.
Oh, so Sonny's out here preaching about giving Biden some grace now? I mean, fair point. Showing grace can definitely help ease tensions and bring people together. But here's where things get tricky. Some folks are side-eyeing the fact that Sonny might need to take a dose of her own advice. You can't really push for grace when you're not exactly handing it out yourself, right? That said, plenty of people respect what she's saying. She's not just talking about Biden, she's encouraging a bigger shift in perspective, asking people to step back and extend grace in general. But yeah, the irony isn't lost on folks. If you're gonna tell the world to be more forgiving, it kinda makes sense to lead by example. You know, walk the walk. So maybe the real takeaway here is balance. Sure, let's give Biden some grace, but let's also make sure that same energy applies across the board. It's a two-way street.
So you're saying that those two guys should not be?
No, it was more than the two of them. But listen, I think it was them, and it was so many other people. The thing that really I think was spotlighting Snoop is because of the things that Snoop Dogg said 10 days before the inaugural in 2017.
Sonny's point wasn't just about Trump's past, it was about something much bigger. To her, Snoop and Nelly's performance wasn't just entertainment, it was a statement, intentional or not. And now, people are seriously calling out Snoop Dogg for flip-flopping. Want to know why? Let me break it down for you.
So ain't nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo ass niggas gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast the fuck out of one of you Uncle Tom ass niggas for doing it. Which one of you niggas gonna do it first? Osby's the one that performs for himself.
I wonder who that is. Wait, is that the same guy?
Back in 2017, Snoop had plenty to say about others performing at Trump events. He called them out loud and clear. But fast forward to now, and he's doing the exact same thing, and acting like his past comments never existed. That's exactly why people are dragging him. They're basically saying, own your choices, or at least don't act like we all forgot, Snoop. And of course, the View panel had plenty to say. Joy Behar tried to lighten the mood with a joke, but let's be real, that wasn't enough to cool things down. Then, Ana Navarro jumped in with one last message for Snoop, and let's just say she did not hold back.
But you were there now, applauding him like a trained seal? Donald Trump has not changed. You've changed. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Alyssa Farah Griffin took the let's keep it cool approach. She reminded everyone that performers might have personal reasons for their choices, basically saying, let's not jump to conclusions too fast. Well, I'd say watch out, hosts, because if history tells us anything, people will be coming with the heat for this take too.
Come for the artist. It's the same way I felt about Carrie Underwood. I think that people see it as part of American tradition to be part of this. They can.
While Nelly has spoken out about the backlash, saying this,
I love this country as well. It is an honor for me to perform for the president of the United States, regardless of who is in office. If President Biden would have asked me to perform, I would have performed. If Vice President Kamala Harris would have won and asked me to perform, I would have performed.
Snoop Dogg has stayed completely silent on the whole situation, while Nelly seems totally unbothered. He doesn't care what people think about his decision to perform. But Snoop's silence? That's what has people talking. Was it just about business, or does he have a different take on things that he's keeping to himself? Meanwhile, the View hosts seem more determined than ever to keep the drama going. One day, it's Elon Musk, the next, it's Snoop Dogg. So the real question is, who's next on their list?
Artists are there for the money, and at the end of the day, am I going to fault them? They're there for the money.
At the heart of this whole debate is one major question. Should artists use their platforms to take a stand, or is it okay for them to just focus on their art and leave politics out of it? And trust me, this is way bigger than it seems. For Sonny and Keith, the answer is clear. Performing at Trump's inauguration, bad choice, bad message. But hey, at least the paycheck is nice. Meanwhile, others, like Alyssa Farah Griffin, see it as a more complicated situation. Maybe it's about the money, maybe it's just about getting that exposure. But let's be real. Do we really expect musicians to drop the mic on politics every time? Sometimes they just want to drop beats, not bombs. Come on now. Even Whoopi Goldberg chimed in, saying that people do what they do for whatever reason, which really highlights how complicated this whole thing is. She didn't exactly defend Snoop or Nelly, but she did recognize that their choices are theirs to make, even if her co-hosts weren't feeling it. But let's be real, that wasn't the only thing Sonny had to rant about.
I decided to protect my peace and celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day yesterday.
Sonny didn't waste a second calling out the hypocrisy and irony of Trump's inauguration, landing on a day meant to honor Martin Luther King Jr. Leaning on her background as a lawyer, she laid out the contradiction. How could an administration rolling back diversity and inclusion efforts align with Dr. King's lifelong fight for racial equality and economic fairness? She kept going. I want to remind people that he said, Black Americans deserved reparations for the injustices they faced. She made it clear that Dr. King saw reparations as justice, not charity. But not everyone was on board. Some pushed back, arguing that the focus should be on what's next rather than dwelling on the past. The debate quickly turned into a question of whether the timing really mattered or if the bigger picture was what people should be paying attention to. And, as expected, reactions from viewers and social media were all over the place. Some folks came straight for the View hosts, throwing shade in every direction while others actually backed Sonny. Okay, maybe not a ton of people. But hey, she got a few solid clapbacks in support. Looks like the real debate was happening in the comment section. So these ladies are giving an opinion on an inauguration they didn't watch? You got a point, lady. The View talk like they got a majority of people on their side, LOL. This whole debate brings up some big questions. Should we hold artists to a higher standard just because they have so much influence? Or is it unfair to expect them to carry the weight of fixing the world? That's a lot of pressure, right? And trust me, this isn't over yet. Valuetainment also had their own little discussion about it, and let me tell you, what they said might just be more entertaining than the actual Valuetainment itself. Let's just say, It's definitely worth a watch.
9 a.m.
Nelly gets a call. He says, hey, man, these guys want you to perform at 9 o'clock. That's early. I never perform at 9 o'clock. You sure it's 9 o'clock? He says, yes. He says, they just want me to perform at 9 p.m. I'm normally 11 o'clock. He says, no, 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
He gets up. He says, never in my life have I given a concert to 10,000 people.
This whole situation is basically a masterclass in contradictions. Nelly's story? Straightforward. He showed up, did his thing, secured the bag, and kept it real. You really can't fault him for that. And let's be honest, $1.5 million makes waking up for a 9 a.m. gig very worth it. But Snoop's flip-flop, that's where the real tea is.
And then Snoop, also there's a clip that resurfaced from him in 2017, making fun of, the language with the accent of, hey, if you say this, if you say that. But they performed. I think DJ Khaled was there. Snoop was there, gave a great performance. Nelly was there lighting it up last night.
It's really interesting how public figures can change over time, right? Back in 2017, celebrities who performed at Trump events got dragged and labeled as sellouts. Fast forward a few years, and now we're seeing some of those same people, or others, making similar moves. Just goes to show how messy things can get in the entertainment world. On one hand, people evolve, and their decisions can shift for all sorts of reasons: money, changing perspectives, new opportunities. But on the other hand, the internet never forgets. When someone suddenly switches sides, it makes people question their consistency. And you know what? Black artists weren't the only ones The View had something to say about. If you've seen Carrie Underwood's performance at the inauguration, then you already know. She wasn't spared either. Whoopi, Joy, and the rest of the panel didn't hold back, sharing their thoughts on Carrie's decision to perform. And in the middle of it all, she ended up caught in the debate just like Snoop and Nelly.
And lots of her fans aren't thrilled about it, but lots of her fans are.
Whoopi pointed out that Carrie Underwood isn't exactly known for getting political. But the real controversy? Her performance for Trump under the banner of unity. That quickly turned into a full-blown debate on the view about politics, free speech, and where the moral lines should be drawn. Everyone had their say, but let's be real. The overall vibe in the room was pretty clear. Yeah, I wouldn't go near that gig with a 10-foot pole.
And Carrie Underwood, if you have a problem, you register your complaint by not downloading her songs and not going to her shows.
Right.
But I also think from a business standpoint, it's not a bad decision for Carrie Underwood.
Alyssa's remarks? Well, you heard them. But let's talk about Carrie for a second. She's always kept a clean and mostly apolitical image. But remember back in 2021 when she liked that tweet about anti-mask mandates? Yeah, the internet went off. Suddenly, people were reading between the lines, trying to pin her down with certain political labels. At the end of the day, the best move? Own your past choices. Instead of pretending they never happened, be upfront about why your stance has changed. That kind of honesty goes a long way in keeping trust with fans and the public.
For those that are performing at Trump's event, go ahead, Rob.
So ain't nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo ass niggas gonna be the first one to do it?
So basically, both Sonny and Valuetainment are calling out artists, but for very different reasons. Sonny's upset about the message it sends, while Valuetainment is all about Snoop's "wait, didn't you say the opposite before?" moment. But in the end, it's all connected because they're both questioning how public figures, like Snoop, handle their choices, especially when politics gets involved. You get it now or still need a minute? I know, it's complicated, but what isn't in the media these days? So was Sonny right to call out Snoop and Nelly, or is this whole thing just over the top? Should artists stick to their craft, or is it their responsibility to take a stand in politics? And let's be real, what's your take on Snoop Dogg? Because honestly, I don't really think about him at all. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.